after what were challenging 12 months, and welcome you all to the Specialized Data Connectivity second annual CCTIS 2021 at the Heathrow Hotel, but also virtually via our CC-Webinar.Live. 12 months ago, at the first virtual TIS event, I recall that Ms. Elisabetta Romano, CEO at Sparkle, mentioned that she hopes very much to meet us all face-to-face in Rome this year. And today, we all are here in Rome and made the first post-COVID hybrid event happen together successfully. We all continue in Rome to contribute to a new normal, which is hopefully also coming back globally by latest 2023. I would like to thank very warmly our brilliant host, official carrier sponsor Sparkle, and the Sparkle management and the team for their huge and big trust and support, as well as all other official sponsor partners, NXO, Seaborn, AMSIX, Exeter, Smart CIC, GlobeNet, and most certainly our fantastic members for their unfaltering trust and support. I would like to thank also to all our speakers and panelists for taking their valuable time to share their market intelligence and knowledge with all of us in these 2 days. I wish you all a successful and amazing, memorable TIS event here in Rome, and hope to see you at future CC events this year and going forward. And now I would like to pass on the microphone to Ms. Elisabetta Romano, CEO at Sparkle, to open the event officially and welcome you all with her keynote speech. After the speech, Eric von Stockholm, our Chief Global Ambassador and moderator, will kick off the first panel session. Thank you very much. Stay healthy, safe, and happy. Over to you, Elisabetta.
So good morning to everyone. And yes, I'm very proud to open this event. So we call it the Phygital event, but the most important thing is that there are people here. And so we have been really missing so much in the last 18 months, the fact to meet, to speak face to face, because what can come out from discussion in front of a coffee or in the break session, it's valuable, and we have discovered in the last period. So thanks a lot for this event. Thanks a lot to be in Rome again. So that's for us, and Sparkle being an Italian and international company, we are very proud to host this event, and thanks to the carrier community for the organization of the event. So let me say something. We cannot avoid to speak about the tragedy of the COVID that we all have been part of. And let me do some reflection. So what we knew, people that in the telco industry knew very much on how relevant was our job. But of course, the COVID, the pandemic, has highlighted this very much. And so several things. First of all, we have discovered that without connectivity, we cannot do, nowadays, there is a lot of things we cannot do it. And we have discovered that we can be fast, because what has happened in the industry is that in probably 1 week, 2 weeks, we have brought remotely activities that we thought we could never bring remotely. So that is something that, for me, that I'm in this industry since, more than 30 years, it's something to be proud of in a context that was a bad context. I think that the industry all has demonstrated that if we need, we can be fast for many years, we have been speaking on how slow service provider, despite if you are wholesales, if you are a retail, how slow we are. This case has demonstrated us that we can be very fast if we focus, because again, in 1 week, 10 days, everyone was working from home. And that is something we should be proud of, something that should teach us that we can be fast, we can do things agile and fast. And that's what our industry needs. And we will speak later about it. So that's important. The other important aspect was, okay, 70% data growth. So we had, because of the pandemic and doing activities to upgrade network, making the network, ensure the reliability of the network, even with this growth, data growth. That was also something amazing that I think we, as part of the industry, the telco industry, we need really to stop, think, reflect, and celebrate, because we have done something that was great. But now it's time to talk about new things, the new normal. So it's time to understand, okay, what the industry needs to do, how we need to evolve. So what we must do it in order to keep the success. And let me be a bit provocative. Let's to try to monetize more, because we deserve to monetize. So we are in an industry where the connectivity and what we do has been demonstrated is vital. So it's not, it's not an option, it's vital. And that's, again, these last 18 months has been clearly demonstrating. Now there is something important to do it. We need to monetize, because we do not monetize enough. We need to monetize what we deserve, because this is not how to say, a secret that, of course, our industry is a capital-intensive industry, and is not. We know very well that price erosion of our industry has been going much more than the cost erosion. So it's time instead to work and to understand how this line at least can get on a parallel, in a parallel way, because we wanna grow, and we wanna keep contributing to the society, to the enterprise, to the people in the way we do it. So that's and I really hope that in the panel, in all the discussion we are going to have it in this event. So we will try to keep in mind these and trying to understand how we need to change, how we need to evolve from this perspective. So let me touch a few points. So one of the points, let me start from a ways of working. So what we should do as an industry. So first of all, we need to be more open. So open business models that are more open. So we discuss about, okay, how when we create infrastructure, how we can host, others, how the others can be open model, to have more tenant in the connectivity, in the cable we build. We talk about open model when we talk about a landing station, a landing hub, a data center. So openness, because this is something we have never been so good at, because normally the industry was somehow closed. Instead, embracing openness is an important aspect. And I like to mention a few cases. So allow me to mention cases from Sparkle, a company that I proudly lead. And so we announced the Blue Raman cable systems. So, and that is an example of, what does it mean from cable perspective, subsea cable, an open model. Of course, we are very proud of these Blue Raman cable systems. there is a lot of first time with this system. So try, to change path, to, create a new center of gravity. And that's, I think, is gonna be very important going forward for all the other companies that are, starting activities like this. Then the other example is the Panama Gateway. So we just announced our Panama Gateway, again, an example of openness when it comes to hub. So that's this embracing this new business model is very important for our industry. The other importance of our industry, I mentioned before, it's agility and speed. So again, we have demonstrated that we can be fast enough if we want. We must do it. It needs to become a normal ways of work. Sorry for this microphone. My voice is loud enough even without microphone. So sorry. I sometimes, I under-evaluate my voice. And passionate. Exactly. It's a lot of passion. And so agility and speed, I mean, it's a decades that we are speaking about web speed. Yes, we need to be at the web speed. Yes, of course, we do a very complicated work. We talk about physical things, creating infrastructure, but agility and speed, we must do it. And there are a lot of activities that are happening in the industry. We talk about API, my background, I have a technical background, so I like to speak also about technical things. So all the activities on API that we are doing, on and Sparkle, and of course, all of you there are participating. These using the technology, new technology, not even so much new, but new for the industry, in order to be sure that we get the agility and the speed vital for the right evolution of our industry. So I really would like that, again, this will be in the discussion topics you should talk, in those days, because that together with openness, agility and speed is another important and crucial aspect. Then, of course, that is the ways of working. So that is the approach. Then there is a content. So when we talk about content, again, we need to evolve the industry and thinking, okay, what's the needs of our customers. So if we are in the wholesale industry, of course, at the end, we deliver something for enterprise, for consumer, for customers. What is important is that we focus on a customer very much. Sometimes the industry, and again, I mean, being more than 30 years in the industry, I've seen so many things. Sometimes, we don't focus too much on what are their needs. It's time to do it. And now there are technology that are, great technology. So if we think about SD1, if we think about the SaaS, if we think about the security, multi-cloud, so there are product technology that is very much helping customer to evolve. I just give you, I share with you what's happened to me last Friday. So we were with the team visiting an important customer, an important international design brand. And we were talking and we were presenting, our multi-technology agnostic SD1 solution and, the model and so on. And, the best thing that could happen to us, I mean, when you go there and you do a pitch and you speak with the customer, was, what that customer told us. He told us, he said, oh, it's fantastic. I have a problem and you have already a solution. So I didn't explain you the problem, but you are coming to me and you are presenting me something that addressing perfectly my issue. And I didn't even know that was existing solution from that perspective. So that's, when you are there and you're speaking with the customer, that's the best things can happen. That, the customer telling you that you are helping them to address their issue. And he was, really happy and says, oh my gosh, that's finally we have something that we can help. So that is important. So what does it mean? Means that there are solutions, there is technology, there are products already in the field that is what the customers are waiting for. So we need to speak about, and again, the evolution of connectivity, because if we speak about SD-WAN, is a software defined wide area network. So, I mean, we speak about WAN since decades. So now we're saying, okay, I mean, let's move from a software perspective. Let's try to understand how we can control and orchestrate. So that is a natural evolution of what our industry is doing, but it's so important. So we are not doing, I'd say, rocket science things, or we are selling things that are so far from what we have done in the last decades. Not at all. It's an evolution, but it's a such important evolution for our customer. And security, of course, I mean, how avoiding to talk about security. And security needs to become much more embedded than it is, because of course, you know, there are several solutions when it comes to security. But here again, technology needs to work in order to make it embedded in the connectivity. In Italy, we are, we have been supporting CNR, so a research team spin-off in Italy, to using the quantistic physics on a security path. So that is a cutting edge technology. So it's really forefront, but that's what we need to be sure to do it. And of course, multi-cloud. I mean, we are in we say mixed, blended, physical and digital. But then all the new normal is about hybrid all over. So people will work from home, will work from the office. Cloud, some application will be private, some other application will be on the public cloud. So all these, it's making everything very complicated, and that's where our role is, to help solve complication. And of course, the multi-cloud aspect is, another important aspect on what we do it. So, and I guess that, a lot of this discussion will happen. So I finish my speech because there are so many smart and intelligent people that needs, to talk and discuss. So I want to thank again Career Community for this excellent organization. Again, very excited that we see each other. I also have met a lot of people from Sparkle that I've never met before. So that's has been an incredible occasion for me, because I'm leading Sparkle since 1 year, so in the middle of the pandemic. So has been interesting from many aspects. Then I want to remind that later today, Sparkle is welcome all the delegates to an evening reception at the rooftop terrace. And now I leave the floor to the next panel, where I'm sure that a lot of smart ideas and reflection will come out. So thanks a lot. Enjoy the conference, enjoy and challenge whatever is going to be discussed. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you, Elisabetta. Thank you so much for this inspiring welcome speech. So thank you very much. So as Elisabetta mentioned in one of her last points, that it's that tonight there will be, of course, a very nice rooftop event. But first, let's get to work. And for this, I'm very happy to kick it off. Actually, these 2 days in Roma, and with one of a very good friend of mine. Daniele, thank you so much, and Luisa, good to have you, of course. So we're going to talk about the digital transformation and the wholesale industry in a data-hungry environment, and it's all about challenges and opportunities. And to Elisabetta, as you said, grab the opportunities and be fast in our target time to market. So let's kick it off. So I hope you're very excited. And I cannot do this alone, of course, and it would be not good for you, actually, if I would do it myself. So we need the experts, and the experts are here sitting with me live, but also virtually like I see already. Artur, ciao Artur. How are you doing? You're good?
Yeah, good, thank you. A bit of the infection, so...
The most famous word of the last 18 months. You are on mute. You know?
No.
And I see Michael from Seaborn joining as well. Michael, good having you. So, Daniela, if I may ask you to kick off, I'll give everybody a quick minute to introduce themselves and their companies. And please, if there's any scoop, which you might tell us, then so Daniela, please, for you first.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for the expert. I'm not an expert, but I'm pleased to lead a team of experts. So that's the first point. Good morning, everybody. I am Daniele Mancuso. I'm the Chief Product Management of Sparkle. I'm proud to lead this small department, but it's like a war team. It's comprised of 3 product lines, one that is specialized on backbones and infrastructures, another one led by Antonella that will be in a panel tomorrow with us, that is the secure cloud and networking for enterprises, and the third one is the voice and mobile evolution. Very happy to be here. Please, Lubica.
Thank you, Daniele. Lubica.
Hi everyone, my name is Ljubica Draškić. I'm responsible for sales and business development in the Smart CIC, a relatively small company, managed service provider, aggregator, living in south of France, not a bad location to be as well, like, you know, compared to Rome, very similar, but also different. Here to talk about, yes, the digital transformation, what we can do, and not only, yeah, like Elisabetta rightfully said, the cost is not following the price decline, but how we can then catch up with the price in order to meet the cost that we are all having for the equipment.
Thank you very much. And I go from the Mediterranean, we go a little bit up north in the European part. So Artur, welcome.
Indeed, it's a little bit colder here than in Rome, I'm sure. Can you hear me?
Artur, we cannot hear you.
I could hear you, Arthur, all right. Yeah, Michael here.
I don't know if it's on our side or not.
How about
your
now?
Side.
I could hear Arthur all right.
Okay, let's see if we can fix this later.
Michael, can you still hear me?
I'm not sure if...
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think
okay,
they can hear
Arthur,
you.
we'll try to fix this. So, but thank you for joining anyway. So, do we still have Michael? Michael, do you hear
I'm
us?
here. Somebody turn my video off.
No, we don't see him. So, okay, apologies for that, ladies and gentlemen. So, Daniela, if I may ask you kindly to go to the stand and tell us the latest. Thank you so much. Daniele, the floor is yours.
All right, so good morning, everybody, again. Actually, I'm very thrilled to be here. It's 2 years that I don't go on stage. Some more kilos, also due to the pandemic. So forgive me for everything. I wanted to a little bit introduce Sparkle, but I will try to be fast on it. Let me see if this thing works. No, it doesn't. So we go. Okay. So Sparkle, we are, I would say, the first international operator in Italy, 100% team group. We are among the top 10 global operators, and you will understand why we are global in the next slide. And we are currently ranked number 5 in the top 10 for Tier 1 operators, which means that as a Tier 1, we are able to reach every home on the planet, every IP address on the planet through one home, because we peer with other entities that are similar to us. We have commercial operation in 32 countries, head count around 738, 740 at the moment. We have 170 points of presence that we operate with our own equipment that scale up to 1,000 if we consider the partner commercial agreements. Our treasures, our customers, 1,500 customers, more or less 2/3 telecom operators, the other between enterprises and OTTs. around 1 billion euro turnover. That's why we are global. This is our playground, the world. We operate a network of about 600,000 kilometers of fiber optic. That is the base for providing our products. Which products? The one that I told you before in my introduction of the 3 product lines. 600 kilometers is a big number, and to give you perspective, it's more or less the distance between Earth and the Moon and back. I would say almost, because we wouldn't be able to come back with 600. As you see, the average distance is a little bit more, but we have good plans to scale up and cover. Blue Raman is one of the first things, but we have something else in the pocket. So stay tuned. In the next months, you will see announcement. So let's set some context for this panel. Data hungry age. What does it mean? Let's try to speak with numbers, because numbers are giving always the good perspective. And our friends at Telegeography are always coming to help when it comes to numbers. So in this graph, you see the used international bandwidth growth in the last 4 years. 2 things I noticed when I was seeing this graph for the first time, and I want to share with you. The first one is that basically the pattern is doubling or even more than doubling the bandwidth every 2 years. There are some disturbing similarities with what was the law of Moore in the 80s of last century about the semiconductors, which basically said that every 18 months, the number of transistors within a chip is doubling every 18 to 24 months. But this could give us also some other disturbing similarities, which I will not cover today, about the quantity of bandwidth that you can inject today in a fiber, and how this is more or less doubling every 2 years. And the two are colliding on basically disappearing, because the law of Moore was basically dismantled when reaching the physical limit of the miniaturization, and then the industry moved to multi-core. And the same is happening today, because we are moving to multi-core also in fiber. But again, we are not talking about this today. The second point that I wanted to share with you is the absolute number that we reached at the end of last year. We are talking about more than 2 petabit per second. To give perspective, 2 petabit per second is the equivalent bandwidth that we would need to broadcast simultaneously an 8K video to 20 million 8K enabled TV sets. So this is an enormous quantity, and it's doubling every 2 years. Let's try to break down a little bit this quantity in the various regions. Again, 2 topics. The first one is that you see that Africa is the winner. It means that among us carriers, but also among some other subjects, there is a clear strategy to address the eyeballs in Africa. Another thing that we see is that in reality, what we call the developed countries are following really short. So this is a strong differentiator in our industry from all the other industries. Usually in retail markets, when a market is completely addressed, saturated, the demand is falling down. Here we have demand both in emerging and in developed countries. Let's dig a little bit more. Who is using all this bandwidth? Well, in the 2020 year end, 2/3 of the 2 petabit per second were used by the content providers, by the OTT. Again, let's break down, because here there is a strong difference per route. As you can see, the quantity of bandwidth used by OTT in the major routes is different from different order of magnitude. In the traditional east-west routes, for example, the transatlantic, 91% of the bandwidth of last year was used by OTT to exchange capacity between their main data center. While, for example, we can see that other routes such as Europe and Middle East, Europe and East Asia, are instead very lower in comparison to the other one. So this can give us a perspective of the way OTTs were moving in the last years, and probably give us a perspective of what they will do in the next couple of years, where they will invest. And this is basically the overall picture. First of all, again, something disturbing. We used to call them OTT. OTT means over the top. Why? Because when they were born 10 years ago, not more, I mean, they should be characterized as startup at the moment, but they are the companies that conquered the planet in the last 10 to 15 years. They were using our networks on the top with their application. But we see that in the last decades, they started to build submarine cables. So from over the top, they became under the bottom. They are entering our land, or better, our waters, but we will see. So here you have basically a screenshot where you have the perspective of what they did in the last 10 years. They were going east-west. Why? Because they had to connect the mega data center they have in all the continents. So that's why the transatlantic and the trans-Pacific were the routes with more capacity. But in the next 10 years, and they already started now, they are addressing the north-south road. So we will see more cables. We will see more collaboration between OTTs, let's call it, with hyperscaler, infrastructural hyperscaler, and subjects like us, like Sparkle, cooperating together, building new small-scale consortia. Can we say that the international global wind market is an healthy one? Well, let's try to recap what we have seen so far. So we are in a market where the demand is doubling every 2 years. We see that carriers keep on investing both to upgrade existing networks and to build new infrastructures. They are working with OTT that are heavily investing on submarine cables, and they are building this new light consortia business model where carriers are having, in a way, their life a little bit eased by the presence of the OTT, and sometimes they can co-finance infrastructure. So if demand is the only parameter to assess the health of an industry, we can certainly say that the market here is thriving. But of course, and thanks Lubica for introducing the topic, here we are in the evil battle of the Jedi between the price decline versus the cost decline. Until those two lines or curves are remaining with the slope, with a parallel slope, then we can keep on surviving. But it's a continuous job that our colleagues of the technological department, of the procurement department, and of course, most important, of the sales department, needs to do every day in order to keep these things aligned. Can we survive more? Is there anything else? Is there an impact that is due from the digital transformation? Of course there is. As long as we decide who we want to be in the next 10 years, and it doesn't matter if we want to be the famous, or better say, the infamous dumb pipe, or we want to transform ourselves in the digital carrier that is providing services both in the traditional wholesale mode or new digital services to enterprises, we always will be impacted by the waves of the digital transformation. And this is due to something very basic, the need for experience. Because today the whole world is accustomed to many kinds of business, the experience of the consumer world. So the consumer is driving the request of experience of the enterprise that is reflecting on the ISP, that is ultimately reflecting on us. So we are impacted anyway. Do we want to be just transport provider? We need to take in account the waves of the digital transformation. And we like it or not, we need to start to drill down within our supply chain process and to analyze them one by one to see what we can do in order to improve. And there we can be guided by a set of KPIs that we need to decide internally and vis-a-vis our customers, of course. The first most important thing, we need to monetize. So if we need to monetize, we need to have a clear quote to cash objective. We need to know what is the average time from the moment we are entering a negotiation until we are monetizing, how much time, how long time can pass in order to be competitive. This, of course, will drive other kind of KPIs. Another one important is what we reflect to the customer. What is our time to market? But also the post-sales posture is important because post-sales is used to settle, is used to manage SLA, and finally is used to build the customer. All this is driving and it's setting what is our customer experience objective. Now, let's focus on some of these parts. Let's say that we want to be just a dumb pipe. Let's talk about equipment procurement. Can we improve something there? Well, let's see how things are gonna getting worse. The semiconductor crisis is gonna having a strong impact. It's already having it now, today, but it's gonna be worse in 2022. Is there anything that we can do to improve this supply chain? Again, I'm not here to solve the problem. I'm here to ask the question and to try to have an interesting debate. We could do like Apple. Apple is stockpiling. Is it efficient? Can we survive stockpiling tons of equipment in our... I don't think so. Maybe we can do something else. Maybe we can disaggregate hardware from software. Maybe we can work with our partners, not vendors, partners, in order to lower the price of the iron, of the metal, and try to focus on the cost of the capacity, on the cost of the capacity license. That's possibly a way to do. But this will just maybe improve or mitigate the problem that we can have there. Well, on the disaggregation, I wanted to show this map because this thing that we like to call Nibble is our pan-European and pan-Mediterranean network, has been built exactly with this methodology. It's disaggregated network. It means that we disaggregate the buying of hardware from the buying of capacity. And we can relocate capacity in any link of the network. Finally, I would say that in order to improve the supply chain, automation in the broader meaning of the term is king. And here you have the windrows because there are different kinds of automation. I'm not speaking about robotic process automation. I'm speaking about SDN, or better say, I'm not speaking about just those topics. I'm considering automation in the broader term of inter-party business automation. So in the windrows, you used to see direction, and in the old school, there were two kinds of automation. The north-south, that was the internal automation of our supply chain. So all the technology enablers that we can use within our own premises to improve those processes. Then it came the east-west. The east-west is the automation that is needed, and believe me, it's needed today in the digital world to interact with our partners. Because still today, we are interacting with our partners through emails, through paper orders. We are living in the world of API. East-west means interacting from business perspective with our partners on the connectivity side via east-west automation. But in the windrows, we have also some other shades of gray, I would say. We have the northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest. If we want to be a digital service provider, we need to start interacting in an automated fashion with subjects that are operating on another layer of our supply chain. I give you an example. If I am a connectivity provider and I offer global IoT coverage and I want to interact with a device manufacturer, This guy is staying on a lower level, on a lower layer on the supply chain. So I will need to interact with him through a southwest, southeast. And the same stuff, if I want to interact with a cloud provider, I probably need to use their API, and probably the northeast and northwest is needed. At the end of the day, inter-party business process automation is king, and we need always, and all of us, to converge towards this paradigm. From this perspective, the industry is doing a tremendous job within MEF, on which I am honored to be a director of the board. Michael Kearns, my friend that is connected from remote, is leading the LSO committee. And please, if you have any question about this or any other topic that I was mentioning in this presentation, you are welcome to ask. Thank you very much. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have a good discussion.
Thank you so much, Daniela. Let's see if there's if it was all clear for everybody. Is there any question for Daniela? Or questions, maybe? I think you were completely clear this morning. Thank you so much. Lubica, what do you say?
Well, I have maybe more of a comment on the automation. We are all talking about automation, about APIs and so on, but yet we are also pleased to be here because the wholesale world is a communication between the people. It's a people's world. So are we going to lose more with automation or not?
I don't think so. The way I see is that networking and personal relationship will be always the first way to interact. It's the basis to get not to an order form, but to get to a master service agreement. Once you get to a master service agreement, then you need automation, because you will come to me, Lubica, and say, yeah, it's great to be your customer. It's great to do business with you, but you need to improve because my enterprise customer on the back are pushing on my doorbell. That's the way I see.
Thank you so much. Now let's see if we can make the connection a little bit more north. Well, I'll try again. Arthur, can you hear us? And hopefully we can hear you.
I can hear you very well. Can you hear me?
Thank you so much. Please introduce yourself. Take this minute before we go to Michael. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful. Great you can hear me, and warm welcome from a little bit colder north of Europe. Unfortunately, I cannot join you there, but I envy you very much looking on the great panel and all the people in the room. My name is Artur Ostrowski. I'm a Chief Commercial Officer at Enexo. And Enexo, in very short, is a digital transformation provider for carriers, delivering the cloud BSS on Salesforce platform with Salesforce tools, but also with our own software, Salesforce native extensions, and working with quite many carriers joining also here in Rome today.
Thank you so much, Arthur, and trust us, we will take care about the good Italian food, the best Italian wines, and the best Italian weather for you. But we'll see you next time. Sorry, we'll send the pictures. So thank you so much, Arthur. And so let's go to Michael. Michael, welcome. Can you hear us?
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You can hear me. Hi, Michael Kearns is my name. I'm co-founder and chief strategy officer at Amartis. Amartis is we're experts in network and cloud orchestration and automation. We support our customers who are service providers and enterprise in adopting open systems architectures, standards, and best practices to create the working systems for their digital and network transformations. I'm delighted to be here today to talk to everybody. As Daniela also mentioned earlier, I'm leading the work at the MEF as co-chair of the LSO committee which is looking at the north-south and east-west APIs and automation standards. So delighted to share my insights there with you today.
Thank you very much, Michael, and very much appreciated that you could make it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, so Brendan, we see you just joined. Welcome, and please take a minute to introduce yourself to the audience and whatever you can bring to our business.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Sorry for the slight delay in joining. I'm in the process of traveling around the Gulf at the moment, so finding a quiet place was a bit of a challenge this morning. But very pleased to be on this session this morning. I'm CCO for GBI. We're a subsea carrier in the Middle East, serving many of the countries across the Gulf and further afield, providing connectivity, carrier, providing a number of new innovative services to support carriers community, and of course the content providers that need quality services across this part of the world. So pleased to be on this session this morning.
Thank you so much, and gentlemen, Michael, Brendan, and Arthur, I know you're there. You wanted to be here, but we'll take all the honors for you. So, and as said, we'll show you the pictures. But next time we'll see you alive and live here. So thank you so much for joining. Let's move on, guys. Digital transformation. I mean, we're in a data-hungry environment. Digital transformation, I mean, you tipped on it already a little bit, actually quite fast, especially with the supply chain process and what we all see there. But Lubica, what does it mean for you, digital transformation, and where do you see, let's say, the challenges?
Well, where I see the challenges with the digital transformation is that, you know, we are talking about enterprise customers, and Daniela is saying like, yeah, enterprise customer will knock on the doors. But like what I'm finding that with SD-WAN, SDN, like we are all moving and we are having basically, if you want, a Star War of carriers, because everyone is chasing enterprise customers, there's still enormous, but still limited number of enterprise customers. And I think the time to market, like, because you questioned that, I think it's between 6 months to a year, sometimes even more, but like, let's say that the best is 6 months. I think, like, correct me if I'm wrong on this, like, the big question with the digital transformation is how we can use the traditional wholesale market to monetize faster. And this is what, when we had our preparation, this is what I mentioned about these low latency circuits that are needed for financial gaming industry. I think that is required much faster and combined like by system integrators or managed service providers like our company, Smart CIC, because we don't have the network, but we can combine any network that exists in the world of the carriers. So like with the low latency, we can find, like I'm currently providing like Frankfurt to Istanbul with 5 suppliers, like on a, 2,000-3,000 kilometers distance. But in order to achieve this low latency, this is what we can do. And I think monetizing and the cost, like first of all, the price is more matching the cost. Like, so like you can still make quite a good margin. It's faster. And I think this is something that we are easily forgetting in this market, that we should look maybe above and beyond just digital transformation and slightly go back to, okay, like, are we really losing the traditional wholesale market on the carriers?
Okay, thank you. Michael, over to you. From your side, what do you see? Maybe you can a little bit comment on, especially on the target time to market from your side.
Sure, no problem. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the digital transformation, really what it's about re-imaging business, and that's happening at a much more accelerated pace in many industries today. You know, the job of the service provider and the wholesale industry is really to support that re-imaging of business. What we mean by that is kind of providing the reach and richness of services and technologies that are needed to help the businesses to transform digitally in the network. So we have the SD-WAN and SASE initiatives. You know, a lot of this has really been accelerated based on the pandemic too. You know, we've seen the need for, you know, it wasn't a nice to have anymore to transform. It actually became very much a mandatory requirement to transform. Everything got accelerated there So, you know, I think to stay relevant in the industry, you have to adapt quickly and adapt to support those new requirements from the business. And that is, you know, providing the global reach, providing the richness of the services, and incorporating those new technologies very quickly for your customers in order for them to exploit it to make a business advantage for themselves. You know.
Thank you. Arthur?
Yeah, sure. I enjoyed the conversation, and so many things that I see with discussions with customers when digital transformation enables us to do different things. And sometimes it is seen as a threat, sometimes opportunity, right? Daniela was talking about the OTTs. And Lubica is asking a question. So where is the career market going to after all this automation? So we all automate, and what's next, right? But I think we really need to put a little bit more of the pink glasses on with seeing the opportunities, which will not be very maybe easy for us to reach, because telcos historically are not very change oriented, right? So the culture was a little bit more towards looking for a stable situation and a time to pay off our investment into fiber. But if you look on the market, the digital transformation is not happening only in telco, it's happening everywhere. Every single business around the globe will go through digital transformation. And that creates enormous opportunity. Unfortunately, it requires us to change of how we reach for this opportunity. And it is in terms of both like a technical changes, how do we adopt our systems, and how do we optimize the supply process that we've heard of, but also these are the changes of how do we change the culture of telco to be a little bit more open towards disruption and not being afraid into going to new opportunities. Changing a little bit the value proposition from just a pure connectivity to maybe delivering a little bit of extra value. And we already started that. And Lubica, you mentioned gaming and financial industry. This is exactly it. This is looking for a segment of the market with a little bit different need and creating a value proposition around it on top of just a connectivity. So for me, the digital transformation in telco is really looking for those new opportunities and seeing how I need to change internally and how we need to, all of us need to change to grab those opportunities that are created for the world that is changing around.
Thank you, Arthur. Brendan, quickly over to you. I mean, what's your take on the digital transformation? What are we talking about, and how does it impact the current business strategies and possible structures, so the models? And how did you attack the digital transformation?
Very interesting. Obviously, the buzzword for the moment is digital transformation. I think as far as GBI are concerned, we need to transform ourselves as much as anybody else. And in terms of meeting the challenges of digital transformation, both locally, globally, and in terms of the multi-sectors that we support, we need to make sure our own business is benefiting from digital transformation. So we've got a lot of focus on automation and the quality of the services that we provide. I think the other thing in talking about the OTTs and the newcomers into this space that have got tremendous significant bandwidth requirements, way beyond sort of customers we were working with previously. That's putting a lot of stress on us in terms of being able to meet the capacity demands that are there. In this part of the world, GCC, Middle East, we've had a doubling in the last 2 years of capacity requirements that we've had to facilitate and support. And it's not just the capacity, as I first mentioned, it's about the quality of that capacity and ensuring that if a gaming provider is providing a service which needs extremely low latency, we're able to provide that. So I think just in terms of our core business, we're definitely going through the digital transformation ourselves, making us much more efficient, more automated in our approach, making sure our people are much more adding value in different ways rather than just processing. We can do that on an automated basis. And I think the last thing to say, and I think it's been mentioned, is in terms of the value-added services. And clearly, as a business, we're looking to look at new services on top of what we provide as our core capability, whether that be SD-WAN, SASE, etc., which have strong demands in the marketplace. And again, as an agile carrier's carrier, we have an opportunity to grow in that space where perhaps other players are a little bit more resistant. So that's how I see things in this space at the moment.
Thank you very much. So, Daniele, it has been said already a couple of times, digital transformation, yeah, fine, we understand we need to move, or we are in the current process, but we need to go beyond, we need to go a step further. So can you explain to me and the audience how Sparkle is tackling this, and what is your, let's say, next step, and maybe actually to be, I wouldn't say maybe ahead of the market, but at least addressing the demand which is out there?
Thanks, a good question. So basically what we are doing is exactly what I showed in the previous slide. We are analyzing from our perspective all the elements of the supply chain, check what are the things that we can improve, check if there are technology enablers that can disrupt the way that process runs. One of the things that we are investigating is, for example, the usage of DLT technology. Why? Certainly not because we are going to investing as a company in Bitcoins, but because blockchains are probably a very good way to solve disputes between carriers, to do settlement process, and also to bill each other. Now, if you think that we have hundreds of relationships with the different carriers. And I'm not talking about digital services, I'm talking something basic like voice, international wholesale voice. In the international wholesale voice, blockchain can be a real trigger to change the settlement process, to automate them, and also to prevent the perpetration of frauds. So we are actively working within the communication business automation network, CBAN. I have also sit there in the board, and we are running projects within CBAN and within MEF with this scope. Of course, digital transformation is also to understand the need of your customers, to listen and to be able to react, or sometimes even to prevent. Take the case that Elisabetta was discussing before. It's an enterprise customer. Yes, we serve enterprise customers as well. Usually when you see the logo of Sparkle, you think about submarine cables, because traditionally we were a wholesaler. But it's already some time that we decided to enter also in the enterprise market, which can be considered, I mean, a good decision or a bad decision. It's perspective. You can stay to be a connectivity provider and that's it. And you can be successful and you can be good and you can monetize using, of course, all the best practices that we are discussing with my estimated colleagues. But you can also decide to move a little bit further and to enter in a new space. If you enter in this new space, you need to be ready to address things that were not in your DNA, and sometimes to leapfrog, to look for products and services that are a little bit further, to do some research instead of launching in the traditional one, can make the difference. And your customers probably will be happy that you are able to anticipate their needs.
Thank you so much. Now, Michael, just to get to you before I go to Luisa. I mean, the new technologies, I mean, of course, they're pushing and then they have a huge impact on our service portfolio. So I want to combine actually two questions to you. So how and in what way, and where do you see and what are the constraints and challenges which is actually limited by the current technologies? So a handful.
Very good. Yeah, I think we've got a lot of new technologies at hand today. You know, we've got SD-WAN, we've got which simplifies the network. We've got SASE, which adds the security elements to that, and allows us to work in a much more distributed fashion. You know, we have 5G, you know, which is giving us the reliability, that we need. We satellite as well, which is opening up, you know, multitude of connectivity options now for, you know, to reach remote places, to do more mobile type connectivity that's much more reliable, much more highly available. I think the biggest challenge and the constraint we have is how to combine all of these in a seamless way. You know, how all those providers can come together, you know, work together with each other, you know, in co-opetition mode, where in some cases they're cooperating with each other, in other cases they're actually competing with each other, but work together to be able to create the services, you know, that the rich set of services which no single provider can offer on their own. And this isn't just about connectivity. This also, you know, extends into looking at things like security, you know, a network provider working with a security provider, network provider working with cloud provider, working with edge cloud providers, working with application providers. There's a whole lot of things that you need to combine together to provide a rich set of services that the enterprise and the business customers need. And the only way you're going to do this is through some standardization approach. Because, you know, if everybody comes up with their different ways of doing business, you know, it hasn't worked and it doesn't work, and it can't achieve the kind of dynamic, you know, sort of plug and play interoperability that's needed in order to allow providers deliver a service that combines like off-net components or you know, components that are delivered by another service to the same level of quality and experience that you would expect from a non-net type service, or a service that's delivered by a single provider.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Michael. And ladies and gentlemen, in the meantime, I see that the Gint Atkinson could join us. Gint, please take quickly a minute to quickly introduce yourself and a warm welcome that you could make it. Thank you.
Thank you. And my apologies for everyone's forbearance having me joining late. But I'm Gint Atkinson. I head up network strategy and digital architecture at SES. We're a content and connectivity provider, dominantly over satellite, multi-orbit satellites. So we have GEO and MEO assets and more coming. Of course, our GEO is used to distribute content over the greatest reach. And our medium Earth orbit satellites are really designed to deliver fiber in the sky to nearly anywhere in the world. And we are going very, very deep on the digital transformation. And I'm driving all of our OSS and BSS systems into the cloud, edge adoption, and the 5G core network adoption to really make the satellite network a native 5G access network and transport network.
Thank you very much, and happy to have you on the panel and sharing your thoughts and expertise. Thank you so much again for joining. So Lubica, from your point of view, the new technologies, coming back to the earlier point, you know, they push us and they have a huge impact on our service portfolios. But where do you see the opportunities and the challenges?
Well, the new technologies are requiring actually services to follow them, like, they're requiring services, let me correct myself, to implement them. So basically what I'm seeing is, again, I'm seeing more in the market, like, yes, the carriers can provide the new technologies and they are moving into new technologies. They're not, if they're providing this new technologies and new services internationally, they need a service provider who can provide field installation and services. For example, we are doing for one of the big carriers 5,000 installations for Aldi stores, like Aldi supermarkets. So this is something which we are implementing the SD-WAN technology for that big carrier. So this is what I think is the future, at least for managed service providers. This is the future, helping carriers implement their technologies with their enterprise customers.
Okay, thank you. Arthur?
Yes. So the question was, where do I see the opportunities, but also the challenges? And I think today the big challenge is really the disjoint systems, right? And yes, we are going into more virtualization of different network aspects, but how do we actually combine it into a service proposition? How do we create a new service portfolio out of those virtual pieces of cloud compute, storage, network, edge, 5G, you name it. So, and the opportunity comes with much more flexibility nowadays on a BSS side, the systems that can really help you connect all the parts of your networking elements, the off-net networking elements, but also the partners, like Michael mentioned, the security or cloud. Yet there needs to be a system that has the intelligence to navigate in this complexity, and where you can, in a great time to market and with a big flexibility and with the automation, create your product offering to your clients. And this is where I see the opportunity for a lot of carriers. We are still quoting by emails or Excels, and what Daniela mentioned, that the off-net part, it's nowadays still a lot of emails being sent everywhere. That part will never enable us to create a better experience for the end users unless we take the opportunity of the BSS systems that can provide this automation there. So my call is network virtualization and the new technologies will never enable us to win in the customers unless we provide the business support layer on top of it that is flexible, that is automated, and helps us to get quicker to the market and respond with the right value proposition for even for the very different verticals.
Thank you, Artur, and thank you for bridging it already into the virtual networks and the impact it has. So, Lubica, just another quick question for you before I go to Daniela. How can operators and other telcos prepare themselves? I mean, what are the key elements to watch for? I mean, can you lead the way? Do you have any use cases and can share with the audience, for instance, about, and you mentioned it before already, the low latency networks, cloudification. What is your take on this one? Do you have any beautiful examples?
Well, as I said, we are currently providing Frankfurt to Istanbul low latency, NG. We are now going to do Dubai and Riyadh. So what we are very often, again, on the wholesale market, we are forgetting, and I know that salespeople of the big carriers are shying away from difficult markets like Middle East, STAN countries, CIS countries, Russia, God forbid, China, God forbid, no, but if you mention,
you are absolutely right.
If you mention to a salesperson, oh, you have the big RFP, are you covering? Oh, no, I will just cover Western Europe. I will not do more. So I think we are forgetting about these markets which are having the capabilities, which are moving. We are forgetting about their digital transformation, that they are getting ready. They're in the background, getting ready. They're ready to provide services. But we are also, and maybe GBI is different here, because they are based in the Middle East and they provide services to the local customers. But what we are forgetting, that also the customers, the enterprise customers in these countries also need international services. And again, this is something that I think we should look at more and address the market, because again, talking about time to market, I think this is much faster time to market than covering Western Europe with enterprise.
I fully agree with Lubica, and I fully agree that you need to have a global strategy and need to have then the implementation strategy that is different by region. Certainly, if you want to serve, if you are a global service provider, and definitely you want to serve regions that are difficult, like China, for example, you cannot go directly. You need to build a relationship with the partner that is based there. Because, I mean, as much as the world became a global place, but sometimes there are traditions, there are local languages, there are specific things that you need to follow. And if you're following a Chinese customer from Rome, I don't see many chances to be successful. Let's put it this way. So I fully share the God forbid, and I fully share that networking and partnership with the right companies. I wouldn't just say service providers, because sometimes we interact with partners there that are not telco operators or service provider. Of course, we do with them, but that are operating in a different layer of the supply chain. So 100% with her.
Thank you, Gint. You wanna join in? What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think, you know, this is the one area where it really gets critical, where we try to look at how what we're going to cloudify, put in the cloud. Definitely BSS and OSS is critical to that, but the architecture of OSS and BSS has really shifted with all of the different orchestration standards and the many different parts, going from resource orchestration, service orchestration, and then the business process orchestration. You know, how do we tie all of that together? How much of it gets deployed into the cloud, which is really challenging, and then what functions need to go out to the edge, and that's something that really varies between each service provider's system architecture, resource architecture, and services. But, you know, I think a lot of this is getting unified with the 5G standards, whether it's the 5G services themselves, like mobile edge compute, network slice as a service, to the 5G core network. You know, we're seeing a lot of fixed mobile convergence. We're seeing fixed wireless being used to augment legacy access services that may be ADSL based or DOCSIS based. We're trying to do a similar type of approach to re-architecting our services with how do we mix satellite services together with other connectivity services, and then how does the edge play in content, and how does content distribution all wrap up into that package. But really taking that whole approach, what do we do with the OSS and BSS stack? How is orchestration changing it? And then what is virtualization going to do to make the whole job easier and less complex?
Okay, thank you again. Brendan, quick word.
Yeah, just I think very good comments and wide discussion there. But I think going back to the original question, the opportunities really are endless. I mean, in digitalization, in transforming businesses, in transforming societies, there's so much that we can do. And that leads me to the challenges. I think, you know, in our position as being a provider to the region with access to the outside global communities and source of content and applications, there are focus on the region. We need to make sure that we're partnering, as people have talked about industry as being essential, but we're doing it in the best way possible. And we're actually then also focusing our activities, our attentions, our resources on those initiatives, those transformations that are going to give us the best return ultimately. So that's what I mentioned before in terms of us changing our business model. The partnership is critical, whether it be with traditional carriers or new players, application providers, the OTTs, a vast community that we need to service and support, and how we prioritize that is a major challenge for us. I just think also in terms of the regionalization, it's worth making a comment. I think this is very, very important. I mean, we pride ourselves in obviously being established in this part of the world, in the Gulf and Middle East for many years, and the hurdles are numerous, not least of which regulatory, in terms of working the regulatory models to ensure that we can build and deliver services with partners in various parts of this part of the world. So that's very, very important. And I think going forward also liberalizing the market in terms of the access to services, particularly services that have been enjoyed in other parts of the world where latencies maybe not supported the adoption as needed, and with edge computing now, our support of this region, allowing edge computing to deliver some of the benefits that have been enjoyed in other parts of the world is clearly an opportunity for us, an exciting area that we're working with the partners that we mentioned before.
Thank you very much. Looking at the time, guys, and the time flies, as we all know. So just a quick round. Michael, maybe to you to kick it off. Actually, scoping a bit the future. What can we expect, and or what should we do or prepare?
Yeah, great. And maybe I'll put my MEF hat on in this context. We're already, recently MEF has announced that 22, 23 providers have adopted the LSO Sonata standard, which is the standard for negotiating services between providers. So this is real, this is actually happening, and people are starting to trade services using standards approach between operators. I think it's something to watch in the space, because I think this standardization effort is critical if we want to have, if regular providers want to compete with OTT providers, for example, they need to partner because they have specific constraints in terms of geographies, capabilities, etc. So I think this standardization work and any provider who's listening should really pay some attention to those standards and the development work that's happening there.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Artur?
Yeah, I think I will echo Michael. Well, first of all, I will say thank you for both Daniel and Michael and cheer to what they do in MEF. We are a part of MEF and running some POCs, but also we are listed as one of the LSO Sonata API providers. So we very much believe into the standardization. The networking is getting more complex, and unless we standardize, we'll never achieve any efficiency gains. So in future, that is hyper automation, we like it or not. Those standards are really absolutely the key.
Thank you, Gint.
Yeah, I really have to agree that the key point, and we're extremely focused on selling our connectivity, for example. We have fiber from the sky. If our customer has an end user, an enterprise end user operating a mine or an energy business in the middle of the desert or in the middle of the ocean and moving around, we're there to provide the access line service that the greater service provider is going to stitch into their core transport service to give the end-to-end from the remote all the way to somewhere else. And the biggest challenge here is adopting how are we going to accept orders. And as far as I'm concerned, it's standardized. Sonata from the MEF tells us how to accept orders, how we're going to fulfill those orders, all of the orchestration in between. But definitely we need the industry to adopt using these standards, because as I'm talking to our telco partners, we're not getting the RFPs and the telcos coming up and saying, we want to place a Sonata service order, or we have a specific standard for how to describe a service and what APIs to call. So we really need to get this inter-partner standardization practically adopted. It's in very good shape from the MEF, but we need the adoption by industry to get accelerated. It's holding us back.
Thank you very much. Brendan?
Yeah, I don't think it's been mentioned yet, but the SDN challenge we have in terms of adopting or changing our networks to be fully digitalized and provide some of the capabilities I referred to right at the beginning of our conversation, in that we need to now allow our customers to be able to manage their bandwidth and their capacities as they would do any other service they might get online through a portal when they want it on demand, changing it as and when needed. So I think that's the sort of level of sort of technical challenge we have in our core systems that we need to address. And I think just the standardization, I think I haven't mentioned it, but I absolutely concur with what's been said. It's essential we have that, and it's a great inhibitor and a reason not to move forward if we don't have that standardization. So that's any comments I'd make at this stage.
Thank you so much. Lubica.
Well, I will put a bit of a female twist on all of this. Like,
Please do.
Standardization is important, and standards are important, and rules of service and engagement are very, very important. But then at the end, very often, like, you like to shop in the boutique shops and to go to the boutique service. So this is where actually I hope that our company is a boutique service for the rest, following the standards and standardization that is very important.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, scoping a bit the future, Daniela, please.
Yeah, I like the touch of female that Lubica was putting. And I agree that basically all of us should aim to become a boutique, but a boutique that is providing niche services, but within standards. I shall also echo the call from Gint about adoption. And I can say that within MEF, we are working with those 23 providers that Michael was mentioning before. We have constituted what is called the LSO partner group, on which we are, I think, 14 or 15 companies that are promoting adoption at every industry event, but with a set of concrete actions, because what Gint said is very, very, very true. There is not yet the culture out of the technical world of what LSO Sonata means. So the promotion that we are doing is to contact access management people within service provider, procurement people, and give them a piece of papers, a piece of text to be added to RFPs, suggested insertion in master service agreements, where all the new documents, requests for tenders, requests for quotation, requests for proposal will come API enabled. Only in this way we can promote adoption, and we can hope that this will trigger the real adoption. Thank you.
And with these famous words, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to ask you, do you have any questions? Yeah, they left for coffee. They left for coffee, that's why. So, and of course, we'll do the same actually in 2 minutes. So, ladies and gentlemen, we were talking about the wholesale industry in a data-hungry age, and the challenges and the opportunities, and we heard that we talked about them, and the experts here in the panel, virtually and live, they shared their views on this one. I hope you found it very educative, and that you learned at least something from it. I would like to thank you, Michael. Really much appreciated that you could make it. Thank you so much, and all the best over there. Arthur, thank you so much. Brandon and Gint, gentlemen, virtually out there, thank you for joining, and it's been an honor having you here. And of course, here live from Rome, with this session sponsored and hosted by Sparkle. Lubica, always a pleasure. And Daniela, great honor. Thank you so much. And with this, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to close this. But let's not forget, and Gint, I think I see you later in a couple of minutes. In 15 to 20 minutes, we're gonna start again. If you would like to, we'll talk about mobile 5G and what it does for industry and the opportunities which are there. So thank you so much. Have a coffee, guys, and thank you so much.